All right, students, some quick notes on the skeletal system. A rotating skull. Cranium, actually. Cranium is the technical term. All right. So your main parts of the skeletal system are bones, right, obviously. Joints, where bones come together and help you move. Cartilage, which is strong material that's way more flexible than bones. You find it in a lot of different places in the body. Ligaments, which attach bone to bone. You hear about ligaments all the time when athletes tear them, like the ACL or the MCL. The L stands for ligament. And then finally, bone marrow, which is inside bones, especially your long bones like your femur, your thigh bone. A lot of marrow in there. And we'll talk about the function of that here in a minute. All right, so functions. There's the strutting skeleton. So supports and shapes the body. If you didn't have that support, that linear support there, you'd be a big old bag of guts just rolling around, right? Our spine, right? Our legs, ribs, all those kind of things help support us and shape our body. Protecting organs, like our built-in helmet, the cranium is protecting our brain. Our vertebral column, our backbones are protecting our spinal cord. Our ribs protecting our heart and our lungs. Our sternum also involved in that. So those vital organs that if you had a serious injury, if they were outside of the bones, you could die. Those are helping you because they're protecting those vital organs. With muscles allow movement. So look at how that skeleton is strutting there. As he pushes forward with each leg, that acts as a lever with your muscles, helps you to move. The same thing with your arms. They act as levers, right? So help you move with your muscles. And then making blood cells is something that happens in your bone marrow. So like I was talking about before, inside some of your long bones, in these thigh bones right here, you have a lot of marrow that actually makes blood cells. Your blood cells don't just divide and become new blood cells. They have to be produced by what's called stem cells, and the stem cells are in your bone marrow. They produce the blood cells, and so blood cell production is a real important function of the skeletal system. All right, so those are the main functions, and this part of the book goes through those functions. Right? Little dancing skeleton, I thought that was kind of cute. You got to answer some questions about those functions. This one's what are the parts of the skeletal system? So bones, like I said, obviously, ligaments and cartilage. Some questions about those. What are bones actually made of? So some stuff about calcium there, and calcium, why it's important. I put that little picture of osteoporosis because that's a condition that people get when they get older, like into their 70s. You start to lose calcium from your bones. It's called leaching out. And when that happens, bones become way more brittle and easier to break. And when older people fall, they tend to break bones a lot easier. Connective tissue is actually what bones are made of, right? So that picture shows you bone cells, those osteoblasts or osteocytes grouped together. That's what makes that connective tissue. And then there's a picture of the marrow in the middle of that femur bone right there. You can see all that marrow. If you have a big dog and you give them maybe some kind of meat bone after you guys are done eating, they'll get into that marrow. That's some good tasting stuff. They like that. A lot of fat, a lot of minerals in there. Here's some questions for that. Then it says, how are bones connected? And that's joints that are connecting bones. A lot of times ligaments involved, cartilage is involved for cushioning. And there's movable joints and there's fixed joints or immovable joints, sometimes they're called. That skull on the first slide shows the sutures, right? The lines coming together on the top and at the back. That's actually a fixed joint. That's an immovable joint. So it just allows for a little bit of give. If you take a blow to the head, there's slight shock absorption because there's a fixed joint there. But, but when we think of joints, we think of the movable joints like your ball and socket joint in your shoulder or in your thigh bone connected to your hip. Right? So you can have total rotation, right, with those joints. And you can't have that with any of the types of joints. The ball and socket allows for that. Then you have that gliding joint, which you can kind of rotate your wrists around. That's a gliding joint. The same thing with your ankle. You kind of move it around that way because those little bones are gliding over each other. And then a common joint in the body is a hinge joint. And we always think of maybe the knee or the elbow. Those are common hinge joints, of course, in your fingers too. Just a simple back and forth motion like that. And then once you're done with these, got some more questions. All right, make sure you make a copy of these, put them in your notebook. You don't need to submit these. Thanks.